The Greenfield project was set up in 2009 to demonstrate the risks that were associated with expansion in dairying, to develop, I suppose, strategies to deal with those risks, and I suppose to quantify the profitability of dairy farming, to remunerate all of the resources of land, labour and capital employed. It is a demonstration dairy farm that we're standing on here, and this farm is an operational dairy farm in the normal sense, but I suppose it's unusual in that it is levered and that all of the land, labour and capital have to be funded out of the operational cost of the farm. So the basic principle, I suppose, is we have to maximise the cash return from the business, we have to maximise the amount of grass that we can potentially grow on the farm, and then we have to, as efficiently as possible, convert that grass into milk. So we need the suitable cow type to do that. We need to have our pastures optimum, and we need to minimise the capital investment that's here, because all of it, both the capital and the land and the labour, have to be funded out of the operational costs or the milk production of the farm. It has been a success to a point in terms of our learning from it, okay? We have made significant mistakes, we have learned from those mistakes, and I suppose hopefully more farmers will learn from it. Whether it is a success or not, I think, is ultimately dependent on what positive influence it has on the dairy industry as it begins to expand. As an individual project and as an operational individual farm, the farm is still viable, it's still operational, it's a long way short of its potential in terms of performance and profit. I suppose what has worked to date is that we have got the infrastructure up and going, it is operational, we have funded all of our costs to date through, I suppose, the most precarious time for this particular project, which is the first few years of it. In terms of what hasn't worked well, I suppose we still haven't got the herd of cows in the right place where we want it to be. We're genetically not good enough, we haven't got our calving pattern right, we don't have our pastures to producing the optimum as to what we think they are potentially capable of doing. We are well above national average, but because of the leveraging that is on the farm, we have to be at the top end of technical efficiency to be viable, because of all of the economic pressures that are on this particular farm, having to fund all of its labour, all the land costs and all of the debt, and having to do that year on year because they are cash costs, and we have to, I suppose, generate that cash surplus every year. In terms of some of the costs of the farm, we at the moment are the top 10% of dairy farmers are growing about 9.5 tonnes of grass. We on the Greenfield last year grew 11.8 tonnes of grass. Long term, if we don't achieve our targets of 15 or 16 tonnes of grass grown, then this farm is very vulnerable. It's vulnerable because of, I say, the economic stress that is on it, and the only way that we can cope with that is by having good grass production at the top end of what's potentially possible, and as efficiently as possible convert that into milk solids. I suppose the second part of that is having the right type of cow that calves compactly at the start of the grass growing season, and have suitable cow genetics in terms of fertility and calving pattern. We at the moment are have a 6-week calving rate of about 68%. Ultimately we need to get to a calving pattern where we calve 90% of our cows in 6 weeks. Those are the two key technical parameters that we need to get to optimise performance and profit from the farm. But what we want is a cow that will calve compactly at the start of the grass growing season, okay? That we can match our calving to our start of lactation to allow us to have long lactations. So we want predominantly February calving, and calving 90% of our cows before the middle of March, okay? We want the cow then to go back in calf to achieve that calving pattern. We want a cow that can go back in calf at peak milk production on a grass only diet. Okay, so we need cows with very good fertility sub-indexes. So we want our cows to go back in calf fast. We have infrastructure investments on the farm that limit our lactation, our ability to produce milk during the winter. We have no margin for us in producing milk off of purchased feed, so we dry off all of our cows at the end of lactation in late November, early December, and our cows are dry over the winter months. The residue from the wintering pad, I suppose there are two residues. There is the wood chip, which comes off the top of the pad, and there is the effluent, which is drained out from underneath it. The effluent goes into a large lagoon, and it's all spread by umbilical system onto the grazing blocks. The wood chip that comes off the top of the pad contains most of our phosphorus and our potassium, so we try to recycle that back onto our silage ground. So anywhere we take significant cuts of silage, we spread that wood chip back on it.